colorless ramp deck is one that's been floating around the edges of Historic for a little while now. And one of the key ways that it works is we've got these two different artifact ramp cards as well as Hedron Archive here that allow our mostly colorless deck to ramp up their mana very, very quickly. So like our ideal draw looks something like Mind Stone on 2, Hedron Archive, second Mind Stone on 3, and then on 4 you could cast an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. We also have Forsaken Monument here, which is the explanation for our kind of wonky mana base. So this says whenever you tap a permanent for colorless mana, get an additional colorless mana. So that means we want as many of our lands as possible. In this case, in this deck, everything except these 2 basic swamps to tap for colorless, because this lets Forsaken Monument effectively double the mana that we're creating. Now, one of the issues with being just a straight colorless ramp deck that we found was the aggressive and creature decks just get under you in this format. So this deck has a black splash for Extinction Event and Shadow's Verdict in the main, and then Thoughtseize, Thought Distortion, and some more spot removal in the sideboard. One common decision that a lot of people play in this archetype is they play Karn the Great Creator, and that's a card that I've just been super whelmed by. In this format, it's a card that takes up a bunch of your sideboard slots in a non-rotating Magic format where your sideboard slots are very valuable because there are so many things you want to be sideboarding against, and its effect just isn't that powerful. Like, spending 9 mana to, like, play a card, get a Forsaken Monument, play Forsaken Monument is really slow. The artifacts can't activate text is, like, okay against Oven decks, and it's really good in the mirror, but on average in most matchups, I found Karn to be bad, and the deck felt like it got better when we cut it. So, let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it goes. Pit Panther, thanks to 11 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what Surtland Flinger does. It's a pretty easy mulligan here. We don't have double black to cast this, so no, none of our 2 mana plays is usually a mulligan in the dark. This isn't a ramp spell, but it's a little bit of card selection, so it's definitely keep. Bottom of the Ulamog here. Certainly Flinger does not read to me like a very constructed playable card. Usually you want your cards to be individually powerful. That's a card that's explicitly a bad stat line when it's on its own, and only good when you have other things to pair with it. Fist Crusader. Oh, this is Rhino. I bet the folks in Discord had been chatting about a Jund Death Shadow deck with Collected Company, and I bet that's what this is. I keep the Radiant Fountain here against their aggro deck. I want some more lands. Next turn I can just pay 2 to draw a card with Mazemind Tome. Randomly gaining like 2 to 8 life off your lands is so good in this archetype. Gives you that a little extra push you need to survive against aggro a lot of the time. Archive is great. We get to play Archive, and the 2 mana from Archive here will let us draw with the Mazemind Tome. Hello, youngest son. Declan. Surprised to see a night activation? Nope, we're gonna add more to the board. Okay, so we can't quite cast this yet. I think we just do this and get rid of Get rid of the odd Dorkos here. And we'll get to draw a card and gain 4 with this. Man, 4 mana and no plays. That's pretty unlucky. Yes, we were short mana on being able to Forsaken Monument and Event that turn. That's why I didn't do that. They must have shocked on accident, chat. I just cast Ugin, right? I could Monument into... I guess I can Monument into Mindstone Hedron Archive. And gain 4. And then I get to Ugin. And then I get to Ugin after they collect a company. That's probably better. This is every time I cast a colorless spell, we gain 2. I mean, I have second Ugin, right? So, like... Thanks for the 37 months, DMS. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Only company into that'll kill a +2 gain. Rotting Register. Rotting Register and any miscellaneous 2-drop. We have Ugin, yep. $10, 11, 12, 13. Going down to 8 here. Okay. Pretty sure this is just getting Radiant Fountain. Just don't want to die by mistake here. Billy Zane, thank you for the 25 months. Good morning, good morning. The healing in this deck is pretty cool. Yeah, big agree. You suddenly don't expect a colorless deck like this to heal like this does, but the Forsaken Monuments and your other things add up very quickly. We just have lethal with 3 Ugin bolts. I didn't count that, but I think you're right. I think you're right that we did. That's fine. I can Ulamog and Ugin this turn, right? I get to cast Ugin and then +3 in attack for 5. It's fine, chat. We'll just cast Ulamog and Ugin this turn. No big deal. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about a thing. Do. All right, so Heartless Act, big daddy coming out at the top end. I really don't like Cage for just company. I think we have plenty of sweepers. Verdict's a bit better than Extinction Event. I think I'm going to trim one of these, especially with the Heartless Acts coming in. Need one more cut here. Maybe the extra Ineffable is not reasonable. Yeah, believe it or not, the person that could cast 18 mana worth of spells won that turn. This will shock you, I'm sure. Bottom Ugin here, we're pretty far off of it. You know, I think we actually just killed this. BT dubs, by the way, I feel like I gotta get the context shell. I'm wearing my Tireless Pilgrim, Tireless Pilgrim, Us the Multiverse coalescence shirt today, which seems fitting for our Golos deck that we're currently playing. If you haven't checked him out before, a great way to support the stream is to check out coalescence. Oh, it's versus Tireless Pilgrim versus the Multiverse. That's true. It is versus. There's a theory in there. Good catch. Good catch. As I say, the word us didn't make sense there. It's a Scott Pilgrim reference. There you go. Wow, I can't gain life. That's rude. At least you're pretty. I am. Listen, chat. I am a pretty face. That's not true either. Okay. I need to draw a land next turn so we can Cascading Cataracts into Shadow's Verdict. We're gonna scry at my upkeep. And we're just dead now, right? Leave me, daddy. Okay. Wow, are we gonna win this? I don't know that we're guaranteed to win, but we have a shot now, right? So I get to go Blast Zone into Shadow's Verdict. And now I get to gain 4 on demand. I think I just want to do this now so that way they can't like company into an anti-life gain card in response. Yeah, they technically shouldn't have attacked with the Bone Crusher Giant there. It's fine. I had the Sweeper, so it doesn't really matter, but you're correct that they technically shouldn't have attacked with the 4-3 because the other two had Menace. Playing this naked out into a collecting company actually isn't great, so hitting this is much nicer for sure. Oh shit, this is, yeah. Good catch. This makes it cheaper. We could die next turn. Cleave plus some pain to themselves here. Little Ugin's really sweet in this deck because this deck does a good job of leveraging its static text in a way that other decks usually don't. Hey, Naksuko, thanks for the follow. Alright, no cleave here, and no holding up Collected Company a second time should mean this game is pretty done.
Caution, mortals.
If they have a way to finish this Ineffable here, we'll get punished for missing this last turn, but just whatever. Big Daddy Ugin should pull us through no problem. Yes, Pyromancer can target yourself to get to Shadow faster, which is a neat piece of technology. Hey, Alucane. Found some of Bezos money for you. Thanks again for organizing Hoots. That's awesome. I'm glad. Thanks for playing, Grixis. This deck was sweet. Good one to cover. We do kind of need to find one of our ways to gain life here sooner rather than later, I suppose. We are at 8 and could potentially get punked out. The Ugins are lethal. That's not true, right? I mean, I guess if this hits them. 14. Let's attack, because they're probably not blocking, right? Because they don't want to Coco, because then I could down tick my Ugin. Yeah, if they Coco to block this, I get to punish them in a different way. Especially with the Spirit Dragon heads up on board. Six mana Ghost Fire, confirmed busted. I'm actually gonna plus this to start. So this way if they Coco into like Vanish Out Pyromancer, they can't get us.
Aether itself serves me.
Chat, we can cast all 3 Ugins. Oops, all Ugins. the old 6 mana lightning bolts. Pew 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 pew. Are we playing Colorless Burn? This deck was secretly Colorless Burn the whole time. I think you're just supposed to mulligan any 7 that doesn't have a 2-mana ramp spell in this deck. It doesn't look like either of them will be standard playable in the current standard format, Great Ogsby. It's also hard to evaluate though, so for people that haven't been around, I was off of Magic the last couple of spoiler seasons. I won't do constant spoiler evaluation during Magic spoiler season because the evaluation of most Magic spoilers is, hey, this card's bad, it's a limited card. So once we have a full spoiler out, I'll do an hour and a half long segment for one of the streams where I go over all of the cards that I think might be constructed playable. But I won't sit there and highlight every single card in the set like a lot of creators do, because I think that type of content is tedious and boring. I hate watching it. My general rule of thumb is I don't make content that I don't enjoy watching, is my generic rule of thumb. It is not the final non-core set before rotation. So rotation doesn't happen until September. Yeah, there's a lot of creators that go over every single card in the set. I'd much rather just do a highlights. Yeah, the 3rd land here means we're getting set up for turn 4 Ugin potentially. Perfect. Yep. Hey chat, you know what's really good against the Angels deck? Yeah, honestly, Chucky, I agree. Day 9, I watch more of Day 9's complete review than anybody else is, because he's a funny personality. When you have Ugin before they have Coco, yep. I mean, to be fair, our opponent could have a Skyclave Apparition for our Hedron Archive next turn, which would slow us way down. Wow, main deck Spell Pierce, interesting. I'll do it again, I swear. Yeah, I mean, if you're someone that plays limited, it makes so will they. If you're, and that was actually a mistake on my part. I should have played this first, right? What was I gonna say? If you're someone that plays limited, full set reviews make sense to watch and make, but I really don't like full set reviews from a constructive perspective. Oh yeah, this game is over. We're done here. Nixie Nix and Cape, thanks for the follows. Good morning. Heartless Act matchup. I feel like it's not, right? It's probably just Extinction Event and Shadow's Verdict. We're probably gonna need Thought Distortion for those spell pierces. Is this hand good? If so, why? Please explain. Bram, 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 bram. Bram, 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 bram. Do, 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 do. I'm not super surprised by Spell Pierce in the opponent's archetype. While it's not good with Collected Company, obviously, the opponent's archetype really struggles against control decks. Like, blue-white control is very good against them, so, like, having that as a tool for against blue-white control seems very reasonable. More ramps than a skate park. Alright, so if we draw a land here, we can Shadow's Verdict through Spell Pierce. Which is definitely the play. You definitely have a Spell Pierce opponent. You continue to have Spell Pierces. Your move, Yugi boy. My favorite type of Ugin, chat. A concession Ugin. We were faster than them, got off the -3 before the concession. all about that APM. Morning, Brandon. Daddy Ugin is home and he's very angry. We queue up for our very serious match of Magic against Lil Bub 69er here. Why does it cost less than 1 million channel points to activate the Shillionaire button? Because of basic trickle-down shillonomics. Every time a Shillionaire achieves Shillionaire status in Hoaglandia, it becomes easier for all of you plebs at home to become a Shillionaire as well. For those of you that are new to the channel, I describe myself as aggressively progressive, and we don't miss a shot to make fun of late-stage capitalism here. Hopefully they play a Mayhem Devil here and we get to Extinction Event them. This Twitch stream is pre-recorded in front of a live audience. Mafia! Thanks for the 20 months. Welcome back. I mean, they could be in love with the Coco here, right? If they're in love with the Coco, they might have a chance. Maybe. We are gaining 4 here, though, so probably not. This is going up. him.
Do not threaten.
Do not threaten me.
Your disposition is noted. Consider this a warning.
Yes, yeah, leading on Ulamog's bad because of Priest. I also just, like, want to get this ticking up, because this does threaten an ultimate as well. Also, gaining 4 life here is better than gaining 2, because their deck can be a little aggressively slanted. Yeah, them going after Ugin is them saying basically they think this game's going to go long, and going long's probably good for our deck. Morning, Tench. They'll not succeed. Peace, my germ.
Do not defy the designs. And truth lies beyond vision.
Don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Plus my Ugin make a 4/4. Your move, Yugi boy. Listen, chat, if my opponent wants to play through this garbage time, that's their Magic Arena given right, okay? Oh no, they're gonna activate Priest of the Forgotten Gods with Mayhem Devil in play! How will we ever recover? It's just so much card advantage, chat. Alright, so this is the cage matchup. Definitely the matchup for the extra shadows verdict. Did trim 2 things here. Usually it's just the Ineffable. Usually Spirit Daddy and Golos are enough. Maybe I'd rather have Ineffable than Golos. It's probably fine. Yeah. Sign me up. Ramp it up. Someone asked earlier, by the way, and I apologize for not getting a question at the time. I forget what we were rambling about. If we wanted a 9th mana rock in Cold Steel Heart, I think that could potentially be fine. It's not something I've tested, but I could see like a 9th rock being better than the 3rd Mazemind Tome, perhaps. Said Duress to the Entertainer King. Thank you for the 10 months. Welcome back. Blue Dan 85, thanks for the brand new Prime support. There's a ton of great people you can send that to every single month there on Twitch. Thanks for sending it this way this month. That's correct. It does not make colorless. Making black is upside in some situations, though. We're technically a little bit light on black sources in this deck. I believe there's only 13. So like Shadow's Verdict can be a little hard to cast on occasion. This deck would love a couple of Pain lands in the format. I think we'd probably play 3 to 4 black Pain lands. Yeah, exactly, Scruff. Once those get here via a la Historic, it'll be a nice addition. Really? Okay, so they're wait. They didn't take Ugin, but they missed a land drop. You okay, opponent? Play Mazemind Tome here, actually, rather than the Mind Stone, because I want to draw a card with this turn. Playing this after Forsaken Monument is also nice, because it lets us gain 2 life. Yeah, it feels ambitious. They could have a third Thoughtseize. That's a good observation. Is our deck competitive for a tournament? Yeah, third Thoughtseize is a good read. Yeah, I think this deck's reasonable, Blue Dan. This is our second or third time playing it on stream. There's been a few other iterations of it that have gone around the internet. If you like what's going on here, it's one of the many reasonable things in Historic. Hey, sure. We've been on Mud for about 40 minutes, about half done. Half done or so. We're gonna do some deck voting for the second Historic deck that we're gonna play today towards the end. We want to scry on our upkeep here to try and hit a land. Perfect. Yeah, I really hope if they're not gonna ban Muxus that they'll give us Winota back in this format. I miss that card. Alright, so next turn we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 mana. That's rude. Okay, now I think... we draw. Nice. And then we can Extinction Event to get rid of most of this. And then we can also draw... Let's draw off Mazemind to start, see where we end up at. And actually, let's not tap the Spire, because if we draw Shadow's Verdict, we'd rather cast that. Perfect, and this is untapped, so I can play this and Extinction Event this turn, and that gives us Ugin next turn. Yeah, the auto tapper is out to get us today, chat. Keep a close eye on it. It's coming for our black sources. My poor Swamp. I need you to cast Extinction Event. Stop it. Yeah, Blast Zone to clear out the oven could be good too. This gets the ones in the graveyard as well, so even if they sack the cat, it still goes away. Thanks, Meta Magic Missile. I appreciate the 23 months. So I get a couple of scries in here. If they have Collected Company as a follow-up next turn, they could maybe be okay. Smack him for 2 here because it's free. I don't think I want to put a counter on this. If they don't go untapped land pass here, I think we're in a great spot. Yeah, that's pretty typical of Zentoth if the start date wasn't listed in the job posting. Bird, thank you for the entire year of support. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. We technically don't have mana to cast Spirit Dragon anymore. If they have land collecting company here, we could die. This is probably the best draw in my deck. The land to cast my Ugin indicated me to.
All creation can be undone. I will destroy. I came into being. Oh, you guide the fabric of the multiverse. Raise me.
It's garbage time. You don't have to go home, but you can't play here. Dee 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 dee. Still 1-for-1 this year. Yeah, even when your opponent makes you play out the garbage time, our sweepers also being finishers helps a lot with that. We don't spend a lot of minutes moping around while the opponent makes us kill them. Listen, chat, the opponent's playing the try-hard deck. If they want to make us kill them, that's fine. They're entitled to that. To be fair, if they hit like Mayhem Devils and Priest tier, we could be in trouble. Okay, so small mistake here on my part. JK, LOL, they're dead. I was gonna say I could kill this and then play this in game 2, but I actually just have a 6-mana lightning bolt. 6-mana Ghost Fires, chat. They've been real good today. The Jund deck's not all powerful. It loses matches just like everything else. Like, we didn't have a ton of people register Jund at the Hooglandia Open, but there was like 6 people that brought it. And only one of those 6 people made a deep run into the tournament. We had one copy of Jund Sack in our 7-2 and better players. So this hand doesn't have a payoff in it, but we have ramp into ramp, so we keep and just hope to draw one. We've got a number of payoffs in our archetype. And like in the event we just draw air, this Hedron Archive can draw 2, so that's fine. Hey, thanks for the 20 months, Kevin. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Ooh, mono blue tempo's probably a bad matchup for us. Well, this blast zone should be great. I'm gonna conceal that I have blast zone for a little bit here, encouraging them to play out some more stuff before we pop it. Yeah. If they don't have a counterspell here, we can go Archive into Guardian Idol next turn. Okay, Spirits. Maybe as opposed to straight mono blue. Could also just be mono blue with Rattle Chains. Hard to say for sure. So you want to prioritize playing Guardian Idols out first before Mind Stone if you don't need the mana right away, because this enters tapped, whereas this enters untapped. Honestly, I think Wizards of the Coast understands the biggest issue with the sack deck. In my opinion, the biggest issue with the sack deck is the fact that mechanically, waiting for your opponent to activate Witch's Oven with Familiar in a digital setting is just really tedious and boring. Which is not a pleasant experience for the people playing against it. Like all power level things aside about the deck, that's super true. Just like waiting for them to do their thing sucks. We might see Ifnir Deadlands here do its thing and kill something. We've yet to activate this card. We're mostly playing it as a colorless land that makes black for us, but it does technically have a utility activation here that could be useful this game. That's true. Yeah, it is slower and worse on Magic Arena than it would be on Magic Online. Do I want to trade my idols for a Faceless Haven though? Is that a trade I'm into? It's probably a trade I'm into. I mean, there's nothing wrong, for the record, like, there's nothing wrong with enjoying playing the Sacrifice deck. I'm a big proponent of, it is never the player's job to make sure that their opponent is having fun during a game of Magic. It is 100% Wizards of the Coast and the game designer's responsibility to make sure that both people are having fun while playing a game. So when a deck like Sac exists and is tedious for people to play against, the blame is squarely on the shoulders of Wizards of the Coast, the people who balance the format. It's not on the people that are actually playing the deck. We are unfortunately one mana source short of Forsaken Monument into a spell to gain life to not be dead here, right? I can do... Oh, wait, no, this makes 2, right? Oh, yeah, I'm dumb. I forgot this was a double mana rock. Sick. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, living on a free... Where's your phone? I don't know. Where'd you leave it? You don't know? Well, you probably left it somewhere and it ran out of battery, so you're gonna have to look around. Where'd you sleep last night? Okay, I'd look around in your bed and see if it's up there then. Man, chat, when your technology, he can't find his phone. And apparently he left it running so the battery died wherever it's at. Okay, so do we Ifnir Deadlands? So I can Ifnir Deadlands the Nebelgast Herald, and then my Guardian Idol trades with the Faceless Haven, and I'm still not dead on board. I believe is the line. Well, the Deadlands is a sorcery speed activation, so if I try and save it for the 3/1, I'm dead on board. So that's probably a bad line. Perfect. MTG Amateur Hour. That's a perfect username for this channel. Thanks for the Prime sub. Welcome to Hooglandia. Forsaken Monument doing its best here to drag us kicking and screaming back into this game. We are dead to second Brazen Borrower here, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Blinkmoth would be good very specifically in this very narrow matchup. You are correct. On average, I think Crawling Barrens is the better creature land of this format, though, which is why I'm playing it here. Especially with our copious amounts of mana. I start by drawing 2, right? Or do I start by Extinction Eventing? I start by drawing 2. It's a pretty good 2 to draw. Could be wrong to jam this because of Spell Pierce, but if I don't jam it and they have another Rattle Chains or a 1/1, I lose. So I think I need to cast this. If we get counterspelled, we get counterspelled. Yeah, they have their flash creature. Damn. So very close. That was a really close game, considering how low we got so early. Verdict's probably a little slow. I'll take the extra Ugin. Want the Heartless Act, I think. Howdy, Summer. And we hung on there a lot longer than I was expecting to. The 2 life off of what's it called really adds up over the course of a bunch of turns like we saw there. I expect this match was probably pretty hard for us too. Spirits have flash somehow. Rattle Chains gives all spirits flash. Rattles around. Geist Saint Trapped will be added to Historic. I mean, will something be added versus do I think it would be a reasonable add are 2 very different questions. Yes, I think that would be a sweet card to add to the format. As for what's coming up in future anthologies, I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, Spell Queller is Pioneer legal. Again, every card that's in Pioneer will eventually be in Historic. So Spell Queller is a guarantee. Geist Saint Traft, not Pioneer legal, not a guarantee. actually do this here to get working towards its, if I had a third land rolled up, I think I'd Guardian Idol here. But without a third land, I think we play the Mazemind Tome to try and guarantee our third land drop next turn. Gives us 2 extra looks at it, which is a big deal. I don't really feel like playing a game where we miss a land drop against tempo. It's a game where it's probably not going to end for like 6 turns, but we're definitely not winning at this point. It's a tough matchup, but without lands, it's impossible. It's just a sweet legendary card, Drunk Owl. It's a card that a lot of people tried to make playable in Modern for a long time that just like was basically never Modern playable. It's a very popular pet card. Hi, it's me, I'm people. Yep. In fact, it's so bad in Modern that its nickname on this channel was Geist of Saint Trash. That's probably the best draw in our deck, honestly. But stop on my upkeep, because if I don't draw a land with this at end of turn, I want to scry towards the land so I can play Monument on 4. Deck spend the day. Very reasonable worky. We played Blue-Red Giants in Standard to start today, and it was pretty sweet. Had some good games. Mono Black Mud here has been good today, too. Alright, then we drew the land, so I don't need to scry. Do I run Forsaken Monument into a counter unless I pay 1 here? I think the answer is no, actually. I think I'm going to go ahead and play the Mind Stone here and then just activate the Mazemind Tome again. Waiting to play the Forsaken Monument for a turn also means that my opponent can't just Binding the Old Gods it right away. Although I suppose they get to kill my Mazemind Tome now. Usually these Sultai decks don't play actual copies of Yorion in the main here, so with this in the Companion Zone still, I think it's fine to run this out with Binding in play. Yorion from hand's pretty unlikely. -4 here and cut them off of the free land. I have no opinions or feelings about anything related to Modern. That's not a format that I play for a reason. I have very, very little desire to think about that format.
I train with thoughtfulness before action.
Drawing 2 of our 5 sweepers in 15 cards against the control deck feels real bad. let's gamble. Let's gamble on the rest of their hand being bad and give them the Omniscience here. If we draw a land next turn, we get to Ulamog.
Your average zombie horde. Impressive, isn't it?
Alright, we gambled and lost. And that's again, that's one of those situations where like you're losing regardless. There is no right choice there. I think hoping that they just don't have it there is probably our best shot to win. And they had it, so we died. Not a whole lot of player agency there. Thoughtseize is good. I think Thought Distortion is probably too slow in this matchup. It could be that this is better than the Ineffable. But I don't think that's true, actually. Actually, Ugin the Spirit Dragon might actually be kind of mediocre here. Maybe I want this over this Ugin, actually. The downtick on this is kind of whatever, right? DJ, thanks for the follow. Good afternoon. It's fine with ramp. I don't know. Thought Distortion is like a 2 or 10 card, and people tend to remember when it's good, and they forget about the times where, like, you cast it and it's a 6-mana Thoughtseize. It just, like, didn't do a whole lot. It's definitely the type of card that Twitch chat loves. It's big and flashy, so you remember the blowouts and you forget the times where it's mediocre. Thought Distortion is a 0 or 12 card. That's fair. Yeah, it's just like wins you the game on the spotter, doesn't do a whole lot. We mostly have it in my sideboard for the blue-white control matchup. Yeah, and even with Portal, I'm actually not sure that this is a card that's worth playing at all in general. Big agree with the assessment that its value has gone down significantly in a world with Foretell cards. Feels bad, man. Maybe you should have played the Mazemind on 2. Try and guarantee the land. Not that that worked out last time we did it. Unlike the tempo matchup, this is a matchup where we can afford to miss a land drop for a turn or two, I think, most of the time. I'm gonna take a draw for the turn, so I can just draw with this if we miss on the land again. bottom at 8 drop, draw running 10 drops. This is where the magic happens, chat. Abyssal, thanks for the 27 months. Welcome back. How do I make it use the red and the green? Is that possible? That's good. Good quality Magic variants all around. We like miss land drops after drawing extra cards and scrying while our opponent draws 2 of their best card in their 80 card deck in. 15 cards.
And prepare.
It's good beats. Good clean living. I think we're just dead here. And somehow feels like that's because it is Eridaz. And that was the biggest design miss in Ikoria, was they made the companion that had the easiest to access restriction, the least restrictive restraint, also the most powerful. Yeah, in a previous world where Magic had like less good cards in it, that was a big deal, but in the world we live in today, there's just so many good cards. Can I Ulamog and Thought Distortion? I think so. Alright, they have an extra turn card. I agree that Kyra being a creatureless companion is strange and bad. It's not super powerful though, so it's kinda whatever, but it does feel strange and bad. Wow, we won that game. Wild. Wild. What a weird game. If you would have told me we were going to win that game when we drew the second Ugin, or the second Ulamog, I don't think I'd have believed you. Thought Distortion being a 6-mana Duress there. A-okay. Yeah, our Black Splash really getting to flex there a little bit, huh? The discard spells being the reason that we could stay alive there. Yeah, there was an article somewhere that talked about they were aware that Kira would be a creatureless control deck companion and they were okay with that, which you could argue that like that's silly, but like they were at least aware of it. They didn't miss it. I would bet they genuinely missed the power level of Yorion. I think they thought 80 cards was a lot more of a restriction than it actually was. So did we all. Well, to be fair, we, being the Magic community, figured out pretty quickly that it wasn't that big of a restriction, and we hadn't played games with it. Ideally, they should have played games with it before shipping it. So, like, it's definitely a bigger miss when the people testing miss something than when we miss something during spoiler season. What number of cards would make it fair? I don't know. Honestly, I think it would have to be 50+% more, probably. It would have to be a lot more. And honestly, I don't think putting Yorion's body and ability on that effect is good design. I think I've said this before. I think Yorion and Laturi should have been switched. I think they should have switched the companion requirements on those two cards. I think Laturi should have been plus 20, and Laturi's singleton restriction should have been on Yorion. I've talked about that on stream before. So this is gonna die to this, but I want to ramp for these Ulamogs anyways. Grab an extra Crawly Bee, I guess. Wow, they have Fatal Pushing against me post-board? I guess I should have attacked with this too. I really wasn't expecting Fatal Push post-board here. Yikes, that's brutal. It's like I'm trying to get to 10 drops here. They probably only have so much to cut. That means they're leaving in Fatal Push against things like blue-white control as well, which doesn't seem like good deck building. I really dislike responses like that, Dream, where like you gave me a statement, and for reference, I thought your statement was fine, and like I'm simply, for the record, I'm the only one that can time out bots, and this is why I timed them out, because like they said maybe they can't cut things against me, and then I explained why I don't think that makes sense or why I think it's bad deck building, and then you're just like, well, I'm just giving you a thought. It's like, well, that's all I'm doing too, right? So like, why do you need to follow up with, like, if you don't have a discussion point or you don't think my discussion point's worthwhile, explain why. But like this, whoa, Jeff, it's just a thought, like that's the point, right? We're supposed to go back and forth. So like, you gave me reasoning why Fatal Push is in their deck, and then I gave you an explanation of why it doesn't make sense for Fatal Push to be in post board and why I didn't play around it. Because there are creature-like control decks in this format that you ideally want to be able to cut your Fatal Pushes against. And that's fine. Like, maybe our opponent, like, respected our creature lands to the point where... maybe our opponent, like, really respected our creature lands to the point where they didn't want to die to them. And that's, like, reasonable. But, like, you know, I'm just explaining my point of view why it's there. That's the point of a discussion, right? So, like, you can give a thought and then I can give a thought back. Like, I get that what you're saying is just a thought. It's redundant for you to post it. It feels defensive and weird, and like you just like don't have anything to like justify or like respond to my thing. It's strange. What's going on, Rude? I appreciate the 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. Fluffy Hammerhead and Aznor, thanks for the follows. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. I'm not saying that, like, my opponent leaving that card in against me was wrong. Those also aren't the words that came out of my mouth. I'm just explaining my point of view of, I don't think it's correct to play around a Fatal Push there because I don't expect it to be in their deck, because I expect them to be able to cut cards like that against me. We're just passing for now, so I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 mana next turn. If I cycle this, I still have 8. So there's only 2 Ulamogs in my deck, so I think I'm going to go ahead and cycle this here. Ender, thanks for the 10 months. Welcome back. Yeah, I think we cracked the archive here. You're a boomer? What is mud? Alright, well, now you're going to get a timeout for lying to me. Because if you were a magic boomer, you'd know what mud means. In fact, not knowing what mud means is a magic zoomer thing. Mud's a real old magic term. Kids these days calling themselves boomers. Come on now. Zoomer calling themselves a boomer. Thanks for the 10 months, Ender, by the way. Yeah, okay, mud, by the way, is because artifacts used to be brown, which is the color of mud. So we called mono artifact decks mud decks. A boomer with a capital C. That's a great way to phrase that. Well, I think we're gonna die to an ultimatum again, chat. The ultimatum matchup does not seem particularly good for this deck, which I think makes sense from a game theory perspective, because, like, their go big over the top thing is bigger than ours, right? Like, our Ugins and Ulamogs are smaller than us combo killing us. Smaller than them combo killing us. I think I like this board plan we did last time. Again, not convinced this card's actually better than just, like, playing Duress, but I definitely like having discard spells to bring in here. Yeah, for those asking, Grafdigger's Cage is textless against Ultimatum. I don't think this deck that we're playing is playable in Standard. You know, the reason why this deck is somewhat reasonable is because of these 2 mana colorless rocks, which just don't exist in Standard. Don't touch that dial, chat. Half the audio being missing isn't on your end or Twitch's end. It's Magic Arena being a quality piece of software. You think the idea of wishing with Karn to get Mystic Forge when you have a monument out, that probably goes bigger than any other deck? Completely disagree. I think what you just described gets completely hosed by Ultimatum. I think the opponent's archetype is easily the biggest deck in the format, and what you described is not significant enough to go over the top of someone casting Sultai Ultimatum, not even close. Pro tip, if you're someone that's watching a stream muted and you enjoy supporting the content creator that you're watching, if you mute the Twitch player, you don't count as a viewer for the stream that you're watching, but if you right-click on your browser tab and tell Chrome or Firefox to mute the browser tab, you still count as a viewer for that channel. Well, yeah, so it's not, it makes, like, Twitch doesn't want people who aren't listening to a stream to count as a viewer, but the browser muting the tab doesn't tell Twitch that it's being muted. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Slow and steady, chat. Slow and steady. We have a game plan. I don't know if it's a good one, but it exists. If they have an untapped land here, they can Valky us. Really? No Valky? Interesting. Honestly, I think I'm just double stone raining them here. I only have 2 green sources. Yeah, that works too. Yeah, if you turn your speakers off too, just as long as you don't mute via the actual Twitch player, is the TLDR. Our opponent has learned a valuable lesson this day, chat. Oh dear. Brain Eater, thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate the re-up. Welcome back. Okay, so... Hey, congrats, ones. And Mythic's great. Do I cast this other Ulamog to exile their green sources again? I feel like that's the play, right? You're asking Twitch chat if we should stoner. That's fair. That's fair. Twitch chat's always down to stoner him. Great, and Noodle's got a jump block here. Down to 22 cards in deck. Draw a couple of cards here, see where we get. They're technically not dead here. They have 21 cards, and they can play Valky out to chump block Ulamog. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to not play this, and then I could have pumped Blast Zone to 2, and then used Blast Zone to clear Valky. I can Deadlands the Valky. You're right, we can Deadlands the Valky. Let's try to start, see where we end up at. That is actually useful. Do I have 10 mana? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so this can fetch a Radiant Fountain. So let's start by Dead Landings this. Hot Dog Water, thanks for the 28 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And if they have another Shark Typhoon here, Golos will fish us a life gain land. Sick. Yeah, Ulamog really seems like our best tool in this matchup. I might revisit our sideboard after this match. I feel like I'd rather have Duress instead of these, and maybe I want a 4th Ulamog in the 75 for the ultimatum and like the blue-white control matchup. Probably pretty reasonable. Yeah, the opposite of that has definitely been my experience, Magical Cow. I would take that as a deck submission, Logan. I don't think there's any reason for me to attack with Guardian Idol and potentially lose it to a Fatal Push here. Electing not to cycle the Mind Stone there because I want to be able to have 10 to cast an Ulamog this turn if I drew it. Jeff will have tens of more viewers. Yeah, it's way more relevant for smaller streamers for sure. Couple people muting's not a huge deal for me here. Now we can cycle this because I could draw. I have 10 mana still. I am not intending to continue playing Oberdin on stream. It's a neat concept for a game, but I don't think it makes for very good stream content. It did its job. I bought the game for myself after watching Jeff play. Yeah, I think our session yesterday, we actually really didn't give away any of the things about the game. So if you've heard of Oprah Din before and you're interested in seeing what it's like, watching my 2-hour segment is a good way to get even just some of it is a good way to get a feel for like what the game is. This is plan B or C. This is plan D for beat 'em dead with Guardian Idol. Is the audio getting quieter? Arita's version of saying you should take a break. Alright, so I definitely want to shoot this, right? Because it keeps them off of a 5th land, and if they spike the 5th land, naturally it stops them from blinking it with Yorion. The issue with the audio is not related to this map, it just randomly happens on Arena regardless of the map at a certain point. Yeah, Ghost is on my list of things I plan to play at some point. Someone asked about Magic Legends. I may or may not touch Magic Legends. I'm told they don't intend to support crossplay, and I prefer playing games on my PlayStation. So the fact that like there's no crossplay probably makes it a non-starter for me, because I'd like to be able, if I'm playing a game like that, I'd like to be able to play it with other people. And the fact that I won't be able to like play from my PlayStation to with my friends means there's really like not a big incentive to play it. Restarting Magic Arena here to address the audio bug real quick. Just a moment. It's an audio feature. You can check out the stream queue here for that. Yeah, if Diablo 2 Remaster has crossplay, I'll probably pick that up. Played a lot of Diablo 2 as a child. Also, with the Diablo 2 Remaster come up, I feel like there's less incentive for me to play a game like Magic Legends. I'd rather just wait for the game that I know should be good. I think I'd rather have Duress than Thought, Distortion. I think I want a 4th Ulamog here so I can board out all my Ugins in that matchup. I think Ulamog's just much better. Let's play one more with the dated build. If I'm being honest, outside of card games, I'm really just not into the idea of free-to-play games. Like, I want my non-card games for me to just let me pay them money and for me to get the full game. I feel like that's not asking too much. Generally speaking, free-to-play games are free to play because they cost you way more money on average than a non-free-to-play game. And before anybody says, well, you can grind stuff out. Yeah, you can grind stuff out, but like, at the same time, if you're an adult with a job, that's a waste of your time if you're not enjoying the loop a lot. Diablo 2 Remaster also has announced no crossplay. Well, shit. That's fine. I'll probably just stick to my list of single-player games. I don't know. Card games give me enough multiplayer stuff I'm not really itching for. Another game like that. This Extinction Event might be too slow on the draw here, depending on what their draw looks like. I'm not saying you should attach. I'm actually explicitly not saying, and this is an important distinction. Explicitly, you should not say my gaming time has X dollars worth to it. The problem is that when a game is free to play, generally speaking, they attach parts of their gameplay that are tedious behind a time gate so you can then get to the actual game. So they explicitly make parts of their game suck to encourage you to pay to get past the parts of the game that suck. So if you don't enjoy that aspect of it, it's not worthwhile to engage in. I think we're just dead, right? Like, even if I survive next turn and I get to Extinction Event, we're gonna die on the follow-up turn. All the cages here. These elf decks have been varied on how many things they have that cage hit. Some of them just have company, and some of them have more than that. Thanks for the 13 months high five. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Well, it's not even about energy systems, right? Like, so like, take Magic Legends as an example. One of the things Magic Legends is monetizing in their game is selling you experience boosts. And, so what they've done is they've made their game and the way their base experience is structured in a way that is going to be much longer without that experience boost to level up, right? Because remember, none of these games are made out of the kindness of their hearts, right? Like, all these games are made by companies that want your money. Alright, so would love to draw a land next turn. Yeah, and it takes so long that the boosts look appealing. So, yeah. One of the big things I came to realize in my last 6 months or so, where I've started playing regular video games again, non-card game video games, is that there are so many great non-card game video games out there. Like, go buy yourself Horizon Zero Dawn, chat. You'll put 80 or 100 hours into Horizon Zero Dawn super easy, and the 40 or 60 bucks or whatever it costs you to do that is just like way cheaper than what it costs to get anywhere reasonable in the average free-to-play game. Yeah, go buy Witcher 3 if you haven't played that one yet. Witcher 3 is so good. The kicker cost is not free, but you can pay 3 to kick it, Blue Fire. We're doing well, Bob. Deck's been had another good set. You're catching us towards the end. We've been on this one for almost 2 hours now. So something that's really important to understand about free-to-play RPG games, and I say this for people that aren't familiar, as someone who's played what could be described as an unhealthy amount of Raid Shadow Legends, is that the first hour, honestly, probably the first 5 to 10 hours you spend playing a free-to-play RPG game, that's not what the actual game is long-term. Until you're like 15 to 20 plus hours in, that's when you hit what the long-term loop looks like for what you're actually be doing if you continue playing the game. all of these games. And if you haven't heard it before, there are a ton of really, I would say, good YouTube videos, but really they're kind of sickening in a way. There's a ton of just videos out there of game designers describing how they maximize these loot box and freemium model games to extract the most money out of players, and how it's way more profitable to do that than it is to like sell you a game for 60 or 80 bucks. It is Gengar. It's a gacha game. Same Summoner's Worm's 4 style game. Rex Sage killing Monument here probably means we're dead. I'd rather spend 99 cents 60 times than 60 bucks once. Yeah. Well, and I know that kind of sounds like a joke when you say it that way, but that's a real thing. For most, and not only is it people would rather spend money that way, but it's not just people would rather spend money that way, it's easier to convince people to spend money that way. So it's much easier. All right, one moment. Boys. Yeah, Declan, we are not hitting. Jacob, please go up. Separate floors. Al, please. Okay, Declan, you're being upstairs. Al. Oh, children. Oh, children. Alright, so if I do this, I have to pay 1 to do this, but that's fine, right? Because most of these are even. It leaves them Rex Sage. So this does leave us dead to a Lord with this line, but it sets us up to be able to play Ugin next turn, so I think it's worthwhile. I just disagree with you completely, Ball Guy. The only reason games are free to play at all is because someone somewhere with a spreadsheet did a calculation, and the calculation that their spreadsheet came to was that it was more profitable for their game to be free to play than to sell it for 50 or 60 bucks and give you the whole game to start. Ugin, Sand's a second collected company. Ugin will take over the game nicely. Radiant Fountain, just like quietly one of the MVPs in this deck. Yeah, before the children started screaming in the background, it's much easier to convince someone to spend $1 60 times than it is to convince them to spend $60 once. It's just like the TLDR of things. Alright, and then we're actually not going to attack with these Guardian Idols, because if I hold the Idols back, we could potentially beat a collected company, and this Ugin's only 2 turns off of ulting, so I just want to make sure we don't die by mistake. Sweet. That was a close game. Yeah, actually, one thing that Google Play does that's very good is if you're a mobile/Android gamer, you can set an alert up where Google tells you when you're going to hit your budget each month to make it easier to keep track of spending. I don't have a hard time keeping a spreadsheet open, but it's nice. Sure, but like, so you logging a lot of time as the free-to-play player, it's like the casino example, right? Like, sure, there's people at the casino that come out ahead, but like the people that come out ahead at the casino are the ones that make it on the advertising banners. They're not the norm, right? I did write off my raid expenses on my taxes last year because I did a number of sponsored streams for them. It's like getting a 30% discount. All right, at this point, I would like to move along from the topic of free-to-play games and freemium stuff. The TLDR is I'm not intending to touch Magic Legends in the short term, so let's leave it there. If you'd like to continue to discuss the topic at length, you're a supporter, pop into the subs Discord, and there's the Gaming General channel there. It's a great place to talk about stuff like that. A lot of knowledgeable folks in there. All right, so we need an Extinction Event next turn, huh? Or Heartless Act. It looks like we have unfortunately died, chat. But on Blevins, it's been pretty good. This format's pretty reasonable, good range of stuff. Let's do one more with this, and then actually, nope, already have a. I was gonna say let's put up deck voting before we do. Let's do a 3-minute deck voting after. Being on the play is confirmed good, yeah. Play draw differential there, definitely at show. I mean, to be fair, if I would have had a different piece of interaction, it would have been fast enough there. So like Extinction Event or Heartless Act would have been fine that game. I think arbitrarily assigning tiers to decks is very silly. I think Elves will definitely get better with another turn 1 mana dork. I don't know that an extra turn 1 mana dork meaningfully makes it. Honestly, the extra turn 1 mana dork in Elves probably just increases the polarization of the archetype. It means an extra turn 1 mana dork for Elves means that it's good matchups that will win even harder. Mongir, thanks for the follow. Why are we talking about another mana dork in Elves? Because there's a second mana dork in Elves in Pioneer, which means it'll be coming to Historic eventually. Now, the problem with Elves isn't consistency. The problem with Elves is that it's good against creature decks, and it's very bad against decks that play sweepers. Things like blue-white control tend to dumpster Elves. Are we gonna get Muxus here? Alright, I guess it was greedy. I guess it was greedy to not Extinction Event last turn. Listen, chat, I should have cast the Extinction Event instead of ramping. Yeah, let's pick a different last match. Oh, I can't concede from the screen. I'm gonna concede, and then we'll put deck voting up for 10 minutes, and then we can play a different last match. I agree this matchup's probably close to unwinnable for us. Alright, what do I want to put up here today? Alright, blue, red, Phoenix, black, red, unsealing, and 4 color elementals. Alright, you have 10 minutes to get your votes in. You can use channel points or bits to vote a little bit extra. We'll play one more with the mono black deck, and then we'll play the viewer's choice at the end of it. Yeah, they're all great, chat. They're all sweet decks. You're never gonna see like Jund Company or Food in my pulls here, okay? They're all bangers. What is unsealing? Sarkhan's unsealing. It's Sarkhan's unsealing with Death Shadow, and the unsealing deck has Yargle in it. I tweeted the unsealing deck. I tweeted most of those at various points, but the unsealing deck has Yargle in it. Four color elementals and unsealing neck and neck here. I have not played Abzan Fall yet, no. I tweeted the deck list out if you want to see a deck list. I have 100k shillings for unsealing, chat. Don't fight me. Throwing down the gauntlet from Look No Numbers here. Is them missing land drops when I have 2 Ulamogs in hand good for us, chat? If so, why? Please explain. It looks like we've passed 100% voter turnout so far for this election. There's still about 7 minutes left to vote. Shout out to everybody in chat participating in this very patriotic process. Now the sad part here is they hit their 4th land, so we could get binding this turn. If we don't get binding, the game is over. Rats. Hey, Logan, thanks for the tip. Oh, wait, it's waiting on me. The blue-green snow sounds good. Yeah, blue-red Phoenix is looking like the Gary Johnson of this election. Probably don't want to vote for that one. If we can dodge a second blue source here, we can dodge them binding another one of our things, which would be ideal. We're unfortunately still 2 mana off. That's a good one, yeah. Alright, unsealing is up almost 100 votes here, with half the vote left to go. 1100 to 1042.
You understand, Aether itself serves me.
I'm done with how close this vote is. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Bob's about to slam the button. Alright, if they can't kill Ugin this turn... Yeah, that's an epiphany. Yikes. If they ultimatum us next turn, we might be in trouble. Yeah, this has trample. Or again.
Too many unreliable variants.
Great, and then wow. Wow. Wow, we might get punished for not blocking with this. I have to draw a land next turn now to cast this Ulamog. Okay, nailed it. That's fine. This game is over. Are we done here? The voting is still neck and neck here. I would like to applaud Oglandia for almost 300% voter turnout here today, as we passed the 3,000 vote threshold with 1,300 people in chat. Yargle and Elementals are going head to head here. Remember, chat, if your deck doesn't win, you need to be a good loser. That means no coups, okay? Puts his coup pack away. What if it's just a little coup? No, opponent, I said we were done here. I think this is officially the most votes that have ever been cast in a Hoglandia election. We have crossed. We're approaching the 5,000 votes mark here. Alright, so Ugin's verdict, Sweeper's out, 6 discard spells, Ulamog's in. Like it. Well, that's the 5,000 vote threshold. We're at 2,800 votes for each now. They're still neck and neck. Nobody's calling it quits, chat. That's it. I'm getting my wallet. Yargle's true power is voter fraud. That's what they don't tell you, chat. This feels like the Twitch equivalent of a freemium model. It definitely is. Do I want another land? I have 2 more lands already. I'm gonna bottom this looking for a piece of ramp. If we'd have found a Mind Stone there, it would have been real good. Like a phoenix, the bird party will rise again. Okay, so I have to just pause here, unfortunately, because they drew Yorion to hand already. We've passed the 8,000 vote threshold. Is anybody watching the Magic match going? It's coming down to the wire. I think it might be whoever can click more. How many bids to take a bunch of states to court and recount their votes with no evidence? Speaking of, by the way, Because it's been a hot second. VG Bob with the 4,800 bits and HR Beck with the almost 300,000 channel points. Victory is mine. Black Red Unsealing with almost 4,500 votes takes the lead. That's incredible. That's it. I'm doing a coup. All right, Black Red Unsealing it is. By the way, for those of you that don't follow U.S. politics, and I don't blame you, Sidney Powell, and I don't know if that's how you pronounce her last name, the lady that was in charge of pushing voter fraud conspiracy theories, has filed a rebuttal to a defamation lawsuit against her from the voting machines company, and her defense of the defamation lawsuit is, I kid you not, no reasonable person would have believed her claims of fraud. So if you were one of the many unreasonable people out there who didn't realize that you were being conned by a con woman and a party of criminals, you were, and you still are if you vote Republican. The old Tucker Carlson defense, if you would. Tucker Carlson did get away with a defense like that. You are correct. And we're done to a time mark. Yep. If you can't tell they're grifters, you're the mark. Yes, if you don't watch Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, I agree. His bit on Tucker Carlson was both fantastic and incredibly depressing. One man, one auto-clicker democracy. Alright, so I think we just take the ultimatum, right? Fantastic and depressing as Last Week Tonight in a nutshell. Big true. Joymonger, thanks for the follow. Good afternoon. It's a terrible draw. This might get the negate out of them, actually. Yeah, if we hit some running lands here, we could potentially Ulamog on 6 here, which would be great. We use it as a land that makes black mana 1-time, Jin. So, like, we'll use it to cast, like, a Thoughtseize or something like that on occasion. We can dodge a Binding, we can dodge a Ball. They drew the ultimatum. Yep. Oh, Valky gets to exile my Hedron Archive, right? He exiles artifacts too.
This isn't your average zombie horde. Impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, we weren't able to really stumble in this matchup. They hit their double ramp spell. In addition to their Thoughtseize is basically all over. And they top decked their best card after we took it away. This deck seems like a fine B-list deck. I think I'm happy with where we ended up at. The ultimatum matchup seems hard, but not unwinnable. I think the discard spells plus getting to Ulamog at the top end is definitely where I want to be in that matchup. Goblins is hard, but Goblins hasn't been that popular recently. I actually think this deck lines up pretty well against the Jund food decks on average. Between Shadow's Verdict and Extinction Event and your Ugins and Ulamogs at the top of your curve, your answers line up pretty well into their threats. They don't tend to interact with your ramp, so you can like linear and get set up and then play your big over-the-top card against them. And things like Elves are probably pretty coin flip based. The one match we lost to them, we definitely would have won if we'd have been on the play. So pretty play draw depending. Yeah, it was a pretty good set overall. Let's shift gears here. We're gonna play some black-red unsealing, since that was the winner of the voting.